welcome to Ready for Action. You're joined by me, Ash. You've also got around the table Joe, you've got Kev, and you've got Josh. We're going to go through a quick intro with everyone. If we start with Joe, if you've not met before.
Hi everyone, I'm Joe, otherwise known as Kiss the Hurricane on the NAF forums. I'm an avid Blood Bowl player as well as a Underworlds player. I'm probably the oldest man in the group at a lovely age where I've been playing wargaming for about 30 years, so I'll let you work that out. I currently play Garrick's Reavers, and I've also been playing Magors before that. Kev?
Yeah, hi, I'm Kev. I've been playing Underworld since the start. I mean, I still call it Shadespire, and that's how it probably should have been called, really. But yeah, been familiar with the Warhammer universe since about probably '94 when my brother got 40k for Christmas. But I didn't actually play any tabletop games for a while actually. So I was only really interested in the PC games like Dawn of War, but I really only got into tabletop gaming in my late 20s actually, when I was based down in Hemel Hempstead. I was playing at Hemel Hempstead wargaming group down there. Cool. And started off playing Bushido, which was a samurai game, and a X-wing as well. But eventually moved back to the East Mids, to the East Mids. The home of mini wargaming, I guess.
You came back to the Games Workshop fold.
You obviously stopped playing X-Wing to move because it's a massive money sink of a game.
I think I met most of these guys through Blood Bowl a couple of years ago when that was re-released. Played with you guys quite often on a weekly basis, but then Underworlds came out, and I've been playing that ever since. I think started playing Garrick's Reavers, the first band that came out, and that led to a Spectral Guard, then Spike Clawed Swarm, which were quite really fun to play with. Then when Nightbolt came out, played Bride Queen, so the larger warbands. I think didn't play anything with less than 5 warriors, which
You took the Bride Queen to the Grand Clash as well, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I was the second worst there.
But not the worst.
But not the worst. Not the worst. Cool.
Yeah.
About you, Josh? We've already met you.
We've already met
Josh.
Hello, Josh.
Yeah.
Hello, Josh, again.
I just have that.
So now we've done our intros.
I don't even remember who I am when I come out.
No, now we've done intros, then what we're going to do, we're going to go through the new warbands that are being released. We'll start with the Caradon Overlords, and then we'll move on to the Sylvaneth Warband.
No, don't need to do that.
We'll go through the fighter cards first and work our way through all the objectives, ploys, gambits, etc., etc. So
I think we should take it in turns to try and say the names of each of the characters
this
as well.
Quite fun. Who wants to kick off with the leader? Joe, do you want to have a crack?
I'll have a crack. I'm actually going to try and not read it upside down though, because that's definitely going to make it much harder for me. It's definitely Bjorgen Thundrik for the leader. He's quite an interesting character as well. He comes with cleave when he's inspired, which is really useful.
Yep.
And he also has a ranged and a short range weapon as well. Also going up to 5 wounds and 2 defense dice is pretty good when he's inspired too.
Good thing he's got as well is the actual ability to put a hazard hex down.
Yes, it is a nice one.
Which, standard dwarf into go from 4 to 5 wounds.
Yeah.
2 defense dice is nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have brought up the attention of his 1 hex attack only doing 1 damage when he's inspired. I think the way around that is by sticking your great strengths onto it. I think that's what it's there
to be honest, I think for him, as he is the linchpin of the whole group, if he goes down, the whole unit, you don't really want him to be in combat.
It's a leader-based warband, isn't it?
Yeah, he's very much, you have to protect him.
And these are the ones that Josh has been most excited about. We just got to say
really?
that.
I never would have guessed that.
He does look like a Caradon Overlord crossed with Moloch. So we joke. If I take the next one, then we've got a guy called Dead-Eyed Lund, who has a nice range attack of 3 hexers, 2 smash, and does 1 damage with cleave before he's even inspired. 2 moves, so pretty slow. Comes with his shield, 3 wounds, but get that boy inspired. Still 2 smash, but he's doing 2 damage. So he's got a nice sort of ranged attack. And I think when we look at the cards later, there's a lot of objectives which are score off the long rangers. Low damage, low movement, but he's got the range on him.
I think starting with cleave though as well, that's a good easy one for Watt armor and everything else.
Yeah, that's what he's there for, isn't he? Score you in an early one. So what about you, Josh? Which one you got there?
I've got Enric Ironhawk. or Iron
Iron
Hail.
Hall?
Iron Hail. should I
Iron
say.
Hail.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
This is,
Iron
this is a
Hall.
horrible game. I'm dyslexic, and you did this all on purpose.
We would not do
So
such a
you're going to
thing,
be the
mate.
silver part on your own. That's doing it on purpose.
I just won't read it. I'll turn
I
it.
know.
Basically, I actually think this is actually my favourite model out of all of them, with the guy with the Gatling gun.
Yep.
Basically, yeah, he's starts off with a dodge and only 2 wounds, 3 fury, 1 damage. But when inspired, dodge turns to a shield, gets an extra wound, gets an extra 1 dice for his attack. Still only 1 damage, but he has.
It comes with knockback, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is the decider. It's those
I think as
hexes.
well he gets a card as well that where he upgrades, he can automatically shoot straight away.
Rapid
again.
reload.
Yeah.
You can do it twice per. Sorry, well, you can shoot twice per phase,
Yeah.
basically.
Cool.
And I think if you attach something like Glory Seeker on him as well, because Glory Seeker doesn't require a range. It doesn't, as long as it's only got 4 wounds. So that could be
There you
like
go.
a little tasty one, maybe something where you roll a crit as well for a bit of extra damage.
Okay.
And the other thing I was thinking about with him was there's various push cards within the deck, and it might be that you could even almost use him fire once, then push him somewhere else and allow him to fire again elsewhere.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
I
could be quite
think
cheeky.
it could be
Yeah.
a good one for get there hence as well for an objective.
Possibly, yeah. Who have you got then, Kev?
The fourth one is Garrod Allison. Yeah, so he's got 2 weapon profiles as well. So the first one says single hex, 2 hammers hitting just 1 damage, and the free range one, which is what most of the lads have, two fury dice and only 1 damage for that. When he inspires, his single hex goes up to 2 damage. So not particularly great, this one. His movement goes up from 2 to 3. But I noticed on your notes.
Speedy.
I noticed on your notes here, Joe. It says Dangle Bro.
He's definitely.
Dangle Bro.
Kev, you're going to explain what a dangle bro is because you didn't know at the start of the evening, but we
Well,
had a chat
Dangle
before.
Bro, which I thought was a euphemism for your cock. But
It is now.
yeah, it's just
It would be good to get that on the table. Certainly distract your opponent.
it's another word for cannon fodder, I guess. You chuck them up front
Yep.
and feed into the dog.
He scores you martyred, doesn't he? Is what he's there for.
Very much so.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the fifth and final one is, well, that's difficult.
Is he
Who
going
wants that
for
one?
it?
Let's have a look. Let's have a
He's
look.
going for
We're
it.
passing a piece of paper around everyone. God. Gas can Drake skewer. If anyone wants to try and improve on that.
I was going to go for Drax Skewer, but
Drax
yeah, I think
Skewer,
that's
yeah, that would-
pretty good.
yeah.
Pretty good, that. I think he's quite an interesting character. He's like the odd one out, I would say, in the warband.
Yeah.
You know, he's still got the ranged attack, but he's very much your
Melee
your
specialist.
assassin, let's say. He's the guy that after you've whittled the people down, you sort of throw him into the melee and hope for the best.
He's
I think.
fairly quick with his 4 movement as well. He's got his
Yeah.
shield as standard. 3
He also
moves
ignores-
up to 4.
Yeah.
He also ignores hazardous hexes.
Yeah.
Also, he's actually got an extra range on his attack as well.
Yeah.
I
So,
don't know if actually you just mentioned that.
so what's everyone's thoughts on him? What's looking like?
I actually see them as a stay in your own territory, slowly keep either let your opponent come to you or being able to keep slowly pushing forward and just taking the enemy out keep just grinding them down.
Yeah.
While also being able to score a lot of easy objectives. They're definitely.
I think they're objective, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're going to need a lot of pushes. They've got the slow movement like the other dwarfs, like
Slow-
Grimness
yeah.
Fire Slayers.
I mean, the one thing we haven't mentioned yet, actually, which we need to cover, is how they inspire.
Yes, yeah, that was a good point.
So these
yeah.
guys, they actually inspire. You've got to have your leader alive for one, and it's as you score objectives, you can then inspire one of them.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a lot of score immediately
That's it.
objectives. They're going to be needed.
Yeah, it's not a reaction or an activation or anything. You can just straight away, the moment you score something, you can inspire someone.
So I think when I started looking at potentially building a deck, and it was very very quickly, I started pulling out so many score immediately cards just for that reason.
Yeah,
Because if I can score quickly, get my guys inspired, I stand a good chance of just weathering the storm, especially with their high wounds characteristics once they're inspired.
Yeah, I think low wound warbands are going to have to be careful of them. A quick shard gale in there, and against goblins, the Nighthorn ones, Dry Queen, they're going to be taking out a lot of models relatively quick.
Yeah, the only ones to really watch are your very aggressive, very fast moving, because you know that everyone's going to be gunning for your main man.
Yeah, of course, you're going to want that first activation, aren't you?
But so I think maybe even something like invisible walls and stuff like that, and to put them in to slow them up for
Yeah.
a turn. Keep that extra round of fire on them.
And the other thing which was mentioned is I talked about lots of pushes and things. There's a number of ploy cards which sort of say, choose 2 friendly fighters, give them a move, things like that. And I think that's something which people should consider with this warband.
Yeah.
Because they may be slow, but with all the pushes, you can definitely stay away and keep people at range.
Bit like the Fire Slayers, because that one card, the one that lets you move the 2 fighters can make a movement as well, but also good for stealing objectives at the end.
Yeah.
As well.
I think Mirror Move would be a nice one to put in with these. So, is there anything you wanted from the warband, looking at the cards that we've got in front of us? Anything that you were expecting? I've got an expectation that, having looked at the Caledon Overlords in Age of Sigma, they come with what's called a deck sweeper gun, which is like your old organ gun. Okay. And I was really hoping for some sort of 1 damage output but hits multiple targets weapon, so sort of a mighty swing but at range, but only doing 1 damage. And I'm a little bit gutted that they didn't include that. I know we've got the Gatling gun version.
I thought it might have been.
What do we call it? The Ethermatic volley gun, but I just kind of fancy that deck sweep. Something with, I do like a mighty swing, so something that did multiple damage would have been nice.
To be honest, I thought he was going to be able to do something like that. Like if sort of like people are. If 2 people are together, he could perhaps hit both or something like that. But
other than that, there's no great surprises for me. I think a lot of us have talked about how they were going to inspire, and it was thrown about scoring glory, because again, it fits in with their fluff. So it does fit scoring an objective card. You can inspire somebody.
And I say, there's plenty of their objective cards, their specific objective cards, around. They score immediately, and they tend to be like, get a critical hit at range 3.
Yeah, it's not about taking fighters out with this warband. It's just about getting the shots off. And I think they're going to be a low scoring glory warband. They're not going to be high turnover. You're not going to be getting like kill a leader with 1 shot.
I think they'll be very good objective based, because actually with Search the City as well, if you if you ever managed to draw a real good triple of having the 3 objectives, get Our Only Way Is Out and Supremacy, that would be a very nice turn for you.
Yeah, I think they've got their own version of Our
that's
Only
it.
Way Out. What's it called? Search City, is it? Yeah.
Which is, I think...
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think of the models then, Kev?
Well, yeah, absolutely stunning, aren't they? I mean, never disappointed with the Underworld models, but I'm a big fan of them myself. I know... I just think the whole big gun bubbles and big guns.
The aesthetics
very
really
fun.
nice.
Very fun.
Yeah, that
really
steampunk dwarf.
I think when they first got shown in Age of Sigmar, though, I think they are one of the... Everyone likes the Overlords.
Yeah. Not great in Age of Sigma, which I think puts... I know an expensive army, but this sort of tickles your pickle if you want. Where,
you dangle bro, some would say.
Yeah, it's the warband where I want the army. I'm not going to buy the army because it's rubbish, but I can actually have a go at playing. It's the sort of the Eyes of the Nine warband, isn't it? You can have a go with it, get a feel for it, but not actually invest in a whole army. So I'm looking forward to it. I love the models for it. I agree. The models. So,
awesome.
Anything else on these guys before we move on?
Not on the fighter cards, I don't think. No, I'm happy with that.
They're better than ours.
So should we move on to the other warband for fighter cards?
Yeah, go on then. Anyone want to have a stab at pronouncing the name of them first? Everyone's silent around the table at that.
Well, I think you need to be Welsh to pronounce some of these words. So let's start with the leader anyway. Oh dear.
I'm going to go with Ylthari's Guardians.
Nice.
Ylthari. That's what I'm going with. I don't know if I'm right.
Just go Gary.
Gary
and his Guardians.
So the leader, we'll call her Ylthari.
All right.
Apologise if she's not.
So she is a wizard. Her basic attack skills are single hex, 2 hammers and 2 damage. So that's before she's inspired, which is great. But that doesn't change when she is inspired. Movement is 4, up to 5 when inspired, so very fast. She's got a spell called the Reaping, which is 3 hexes. Only 1 damage.
It's a swirly word. She is a level 2 wizard to start as well, so she's rolling the dice for it. So she's not actually starting at level 1. She's got the dice for chucking out, and it's a swirly whirly as well for hitting.
Swirly whirly like curly whirly.
That's the one.
So she has this reaction ability that after this fighter successfully casts a spell with at least 1 crit in the casting row, remove up to 1 rune token from this fighter.
Which will automatically inspire as well, because that's how you go about inspiring these guys.
Yeah.
It's all about removing, well, it says removing, he says with inverted commas, wounds from your models. So in this case, she can obviously inspire herself, but there's multiple other ways of inspiring them through ploys, upgrades, etc.
My only concern, I'm going to put it out there now with that reaction, is they only have 3 wounds. And that's one fighter we'll get to who's got 4, but a lot can one-shot these. That's my one concern. Which also we'll discuss that in a minute when we've gone through all the fight
Quite
cards,
easily.
It goes with the elf premise, isn't it? Dodgy and all that, but worthless and weak.
Yeah, 2 dodges to start off with as well, which is pretty good for defence.
So the next fighter, these names, come on Games Workshop, is Anslain Revenant Archer, who has got 4 movement, 1 dodge, 3 wounds. When she inspires, that dodge goes up to 2. She's got a range 3 attack, hitting on 2 smash, doing 1 damage. That when inspires, she goes up to the 4 hexes, still 2 smash, 1 damage. So not a massive damage dealer, this one, but it's there for taking pops. No knockback, no cleave. This is, for Kev's word, a dangle bro for me. To me, it's your dangle bro. There's no cleave on it. It's not doing all that much for you.
What's her reaction?
After this fighter's attack action takes an enemy fighter out of action, make another attack action. You can only make this attack action once per round, so potentially 2 damage.
But the fact she
takes an enemy fighter out of action.
But she's got the range of 4 when she's inspired, which isn't too bad. Again, she's your archer.
It's a sniping shot, isn't it? It's a sniping shot.
That's huge. That is 4 hexes. You don't see that many often, do you?
No, not really.
No, there's not many at all with that. So I don't think there's much more to discuss about her. Really, she's the long shot, 1 damage. It's nice that she gets that reaction, right?
Yeah.
Next one.
Got Dave the Barbarian.
No, I haven't got the name.
What, Galligan of Elfiness, of Ponciness.
That's the one.
Yes. Alright, as you may well guess, I don't like elves as a fantasy fit. I think they're just a worthless race, to be honest. Promotion.
Here at Ready for Action, we do not, endorse
Discriminate.
racism
Or discriminate.
or discriminate.
Yeah. Anyway, on to this piece of crap. Right, he starts off with 4 movement, 2 defense dice. Shields, though, is different, as your only actual character with 4 wounds in the whole
Warband, yeah.
So this one can actually take a punch. After, basically has a reaction of, after an attack action, if there is at least 1 crit in the defense roll of this fight for this fighter, the attacker suffers 1 damage, which is pretty tasty actually. So this one's definitely going to be upfront damage.
He's sort of a tank of the warband, isn't he? With that two shields, he's a bit of a tank.
When inspired, standard stats don't change. Save movement, same health, same shield. His attack doesn't gain any. The only thing is his attack doesn't gain any damage, but it does get a knockback, and he gets a whirlwind as well, which is 2 fury, which isn't the most reliable.
But it attacks all adjacent enemy fighters, which is my mighty swing, which is nice for me. I like that.
And I think if you're sort of later on in the game, if you've done a lot of damage to people, you can get in between. You can potentially kill more than one.
Still though, 2 fury though. You wouldn't really.
But for me, if somebody then hits him back, you've got your 2 defense dice. You get that crit in there, poof, it's another little damage on him. He's a nuisance. He's going to be a thorn. He's a thorn. So, and then
the best thing is about actually reading that, it doesn't actually say the attacker has to be adjacent as well. It just says an attack.
Nice,
Actually, anyone with actual range attacks, it can still affect.
Yeah, it just chips a little damage off them. So the last one, we'll get Joe to read through.
Probably just for his glitter.
So I have got Scatherhell or something. Let's go for. It's not quite a dangle bro. Movement 4. It's got a shield for defense and 3 wounds. Again, we've already mentioned the wounds here. I think these guys might struggle a little bit. Having played lower wound warbands myself, and I know you'll back me up on this, Ash, it can be very frustrating when you miss attacks and you
only got
get
4
killed.
fighters for this warband as well. It's not like you've got a horde to rely on. There's no numbers there.
Now this is quite interesting. This guy's reactions. So after the fighter's attack range, his attack, which is a range of 1 or 2, if you've scored at least 1 crit in the attack roll and the target survived, the target suffers an additional 1 damage. So straight away you can take out people potentially who've got 3 wounds if you get lucky with the crits on this one. And then when he's inspired, he gets cleave as well. So again, could be useful.
Extra dice on his attack action as well.
3 damage with cleave is nasty.
And then with potential to go up to 3 damage as well if you get a crit. Plus the packs, you could potentially buff that as well with Haymaker or something like that.
Just put great strength and there you are, 3 damage straight away, get a crit, that's full. Taking out.
He is your what armor scorer. However, you've got to get him inspired. It's a tough inspire mechanic, and he's the only fighter in this warband with cleave.
You seem to be relying on crits with this one.
You do.
So anyone who rolls quite a lot would probably be this would be the warband for them.
It's funny you mentioned about the hard to inspire thing actually, Ash, because I noticed something earlier which might be worth us looking at. So these guys inspire by getting wounds back, a wound back. Okay. Now there's a particular card which isn't one of theirs; it's a standard one called Life Surge.
Yeah.
Which is remove 1 wound token from all fighter cards that have at least 1 wound token on them.
It's nice.
So if you can pair that with Shardgale,
Oh yeah.
you can potentially inspire your entire warband
in one hit.
in one activation.
To be honest, you could do, or you could just use the. Oh, I'm trying to think of the name of it now. It's where you do actually just heal everyone, even your opponent, only gets a wound back.
Yes.
And that would 1 card straight away, 1 ploy. That's all of your people inspired.
But with the shade glass one, you leave the wounds on your enemy.
Shardgale, yeah.
So,
But to be honest, you could use that. Yeah. It depends how you would want to
But
play
you are
it,
digging
but-
for that card.
Yeah.
To get it. It's
You are. It's very much.
It's situational.
It'd be like an inspirational strike.
But it is a great one. But I can see, you're going to need your inspiration strikes for these. And
I would say that would probably be in
there's,
there for.
there's the other one where it's got their image on it, where you have to sit on an objective to inspire. I can't think what it's called now.
Regal Vision.
Regal Vision. That's it. It's got their character on it, actually, hasn't it? They're going to be staples in this warband, I reckon, because for me, I just think they're just a little bit too difficult to inspire. You're going to be packing your deck out with
a lot of heal
cards.
But
They need damage, not healing.
To be honest, though, a lot of them already do come with 2 dice straight away.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah.
I think there's only 2, half of them, isn't it? Because 2 only start off with 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got your dangle bro there. It's only got a dodge. These Dave the Barbarian and whatever.
Scuffle.
I can't read that upside down. It's hard enough reading it right. Those 2, they're the only ones with your shields there. So
I think the other thing I noticed with these guys was, compared to the Profiteers, when I was looking through their warband specific objective cards, not many really jumped out at me. Whereas with the Profiteers, I looked through and I thought I could at least take maybe 4 or 5 of these as a start. These guys, I struggled to pick sort of 3 out. Now that could just be the way that I play personally, but nothing was there sort of saying you should pick me and use me in your deck straight away.
No.
To be honest, I must admit I haven't even looked.
What do we think to models? It's all about the models. It's got to be. Let's have models.
They move really quickly. They're a fast band. They're moving for hexes 4 typically, but the models look quite static.
Yeah.
They're not dynamic. They're not moving as you
They're
expect.
stood leaning on weapons or just stood there in a stationary pose. I completely agree with that.
There's
That
only
puts me
the
off.
probably only the leader who's got a bit of movement in her.
You've got what's her name, Anslane Revenant Archer. She's sort of taking a shot, one knee up, sort of on something. But yeah, I agree with you, Kev. They just look a little bit too static, and they should be quick, agile.
Yeah, I think they should improve it by putting a few casual overlord bullets in their back. Great, that one.
Well, I think you're right. I think when you look at the Sylvaneth range itself is a beautiful range.
Yes.
The majority of the guys, I can't think what they call it, not branch race, some kind of spike something.
Branch witch.
Branch witch is a character. These are like the sprite things. I can't think what they're called, but they're quite static. Even those models are quite static.
Yeah.
Whereas if you looked at the kind of the older war dancers, things like that, that's the kind of way I thought it might have gone with.
I think the thing is, they tried to make these give like a powerful pose. Like, you'd have your barbarians like the best way to model it, well, actually think about it, is like the Warhammer Quest ones. You have the barbarian who stand there with this sort of
classic quest.
That's what I mean. That's the sort of look they're trying to go for, and no one establishes that really with elves. It's more about speed and
there's no
glitter and all that sort of stuff.
There's no standout model for them either, and unlike some of the other warbands where you get a mixture of characters, they've got a great range. They could have chucked a different sub-faction into there. I mean, you carried an Overlord here, you've got the guy with the hot air balloon on his back.
Yeah.
The Sky Wardens, I think they're called in it.
Yeah.
So you've got the Arcanaut Company, you've got the Ether Chemist
Yeah.
Leader. They've mixed it up a little bit, whereas they've just gone, well, this is one unit in Age of Sigma. You know, they could have put the Dryads.
So Dryads are the
Dryads.
full tree
the full
guys,
tree. They could have
yeah.
put perhaps one of them in there, mixed it up a little bit. But,
Single Tree Lord Ancient, you know.
Tree Lord Ancient, yeah. So that's the warbands. You know,
Um,
I think these were meant to be the elites anyway of the Sylvaneth.
I know a lot of
think
people
like
are
that.
quite keen on playing the elves, the Sylvaneth. I know Mr. Jones in our group is very keen to do it, or Big Dan. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because he wants a bit of a challenge. I mean, for me, they're not. I think I say out of the two, I think I was going to go for the Profiteers personally.
I think they're actually, that's the thing with Overlords, even in AOS, it's like anyone who's, I think they've just got that general look as well.
Yeah,
It
aesthetic.
is, straight away everyone thinks, you know what, I like that look, I love that, and they are modelled really well. Like even the guy on the Gatling gun where he's like just reloading his gun sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I said, they all just look really different and unique, but like I said, with the Sylvaneth, they do look just all samey, just sort of standing.
Yeah, I could agree with you on that. So that's the warbands covered. Take a quick look at the cards now. We won't go through all of them, I don't think. We're just going to pick out the standout ones that we've got.
Yeah. So.
Do you want to pick one, Josh? What you like in the look of?
I've actually, Should we start off with objectives?
Ooh, yes. Go on.
So, got a couple here, but I do like, I like two. There's live by a code, which I think could be a unique one for me because I've had quite a few games, even with Kev, where literally we've not done anything for the first round. We've just drawn cards and then that's it. And I've had a few of them before, which everyone seems to sort of tool up and ready to go in, which I can see this warband doing, which is basically do not discard an objective. So I could see that actually for this warband, I can see them as basically being more of a counter. Let your enemy come to you. It suits them really well, especially with their play style.
I completely agree with that, and I think because you're looking at score immediately cards as well. You know, let's say you pull that and then 2 score immediately cards. Say, I mean, even change of tactics, for instance. You know, you can quite easily score at least 2 or 3, maybe score immediately cards with these guys, and then score that in the next phase. Sorry, in the end phase.
Yeah.
So
it is really good.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm playing Orcs at the moment. As Josh says, we've been battling out a bit. I think I've lost about 90% of my games, annoyingly. But the one card that's given me a bit of a, it got me quite excited, is a calculated risk.
Oh.
So score this immediately if a friendly fighter makes a move action through a lethal hex that damages them but doesn't take them out of action. Now the Orcs obviously inspire when they take damage, so it's lovely to set up your board, get that lethal
One glory
hex,
for it.
and
It's lovely.
immediately 1 glory. It's just for charging at you, and you get inspired.
Just one thing as well. Could you not do that as your first activation? Get Danglebro to run through it, and then
completely.
Yeah. And then you've got, because he's going to die. I think he starts off with 2 wounds anyway. That's a nice little start off.
The combinations that you can run on this card are, you could change your tactics someone, put them on guard, run them through a lethal hex, change your tactics, you take your damage for calculated risk. What else is there? The goblins, you can scurry somebody. It's just, they've got so many applications.
This is, if you look at the warbands we're playing currently, so Kev mentioned about the Orcs. I mean, the amount of Orc players I've played who use lethal hexes just to inspire in the first place, that used to be like quite a well-known tactic. So straight away it works for yours. I'm playing Reavers, so again, good old Arnulf, he can charge through, take some damage, hopefully get a hit off on somebody. Let's see, but again,
It's Jagath for me, the dog. It's got, it's a great card. I think it won't go on the FAQ yet because obviously Games Workshop don't like to do that, but it's gonna get restricted.
Yeah,
I can't see a deck not running this. We're all going to the Grand Clash. I think everybody is going to have this. It's going to be the must-have. It's going to be your what armor, change tactics. It's going to be in there.
It's like when I versed at the last Grand Clash, I versed someone who used Eyes of the Nine, and all he did, his first guy, he just ran straight through 2 lethal hexes, killed him, and scored himself martyred.
Yeah,
I was just, he was just like, that's all he's good for. I was just like, all right,
good call, actually. Yeah.
It was.
I mean, I was looking at these, I say the Profiteers, and trying to like identify some score immediately cards in here. And I was thinking about not even score immediately, but things like Fired Up. You know, you're going to be able to inspire people quite quickly if you've got a few inspiration cards and a few objective cards in there which you can score immediately.
Yeah.
Why not get another one? Quite, for not doing a lot extra work.
The thing is it? I think with that, when you even score at the end of the round, I think you can still inspire them as well, because it just says when you score an objective. It doesn't say specific what round.
Perfect.
So
my one that I picked out was again their specifics was something Seeking Advancement, which is score this immediately if your warband takes an enemy fighter with a wounds characteristic of 4 or more out of action. So we've already talked about tying that in with which one was it? I just never forget what it's called. The one where you get extra damage if it's against a wound.
Glory Seeker.
Glory Seeker, that's the one. So if you can tie it in with that, fantastic.
Yeah.
You might get lucky and be able to hit with 4 of your guys.
That's
Potentially
it.
take
Because best thing to remember is as well, Glory Seeker doesn't actually have a range restriction on it.
Yeah.
So it perfect for.
I'm liking the look of Headshot as my card. I
yeah.
quite like that. That's
nice. That's
score this immediately if a friendly fighter scores a critical hit with an attack action with a range of 3 or more. And I'm just having a look at the
Captain
fighter cards
Gatling.
now. You've got the Gatling gun guy who's 3 hexes, 3 dice.
I can see him.
He's got 4 dice for inspired. Inspired guy. You've got the Arcanaut, 3 swords. You've got so many guys in this warband.
So yeah, with Endrick Ironhail, I mean, he's a 50% chance of scoring that when inspired because he's a rolling 4. So yeah, that'd be a good one.
Sometimes if you throw enough at it, it's a nice, quick, easy one.
I also think this one's quite an interesting one, Ash.
Which one's that? Toxic gases.
Oh yeah.
Let's choose an enemy fighter. That fighter's player must make a choice. Either the fighter suffers 1 damage or you push that fighter up to 2 hexes.
Yeah. Which is I think also actually this warband has a lot of cards in there. You can pair them up with like encroaching shadow and stuff like that. You can do a lot through your ploys. Actually, you could gear your deck to actually put a lot of hurt on the opposition before they even come out their own.
And I think that's exactly it. We've talked about the fact that if we're going to take the one where you get a glory from charging through a lethal hex, you need a lethal hex there. So, for example, if you put the one with the 3 lethal hexes down, the board with 3 lethal hexes down, you then pull that out and you say you either take 1 damage or I'm going to move you push your 2 hexes. You could potentially push them through 2 lethal hexes, and then you get to shoot them. So you can easily drop somebody, even if they've got 4 wounds potentially.
Yeah. What else have we got? What are the cards?
So
got
there's quite a few really, but I don't think we're going to talk about all of them, are we?
Yeah.
You got another one, Josh? You want to go through?
I was going to say should we go on to an equipment one?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. We've got. I can't even read my own writing there. Raymaster? No.
Paymaster?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Paymaster. Reroll it. I can't believe I've actually misread it, didn't I? Reroll the dice when basically if you equip it onto your leader, which you should be, put your Gatling guy next to him, do your shooting, you get to re-roll one of them dices, and if you do a 4. So just for standing next to him, it's how I can see the warband using that. Put 2 people next to him, give him that. He's giving re-rolls on the shots.
So it's like your awakened weapon almost.
Yeah.
But a buff for awakened weapon.
Nice. Any others? Anybody else got anything that they want?
Well, there's definitely been a few juicy cards in both sets this time. Previous warbands you probably only got 1 or 2, but I think both these warbands are picking up just for the cards really. So
yeah,
I can see the next tournament. I think a lot of people are going to be playing Overlord. I think just for the.
You think they're that good?
To be honest, I think they're just that nice. I can see a lot of people just playing for the sake of playing. And they're. I think they're a very good anti-Malarg.
I think there's a few nice cards in the Cowden Overlords that mix well if you want to disrupt spells. If you're playing against a meter of really heavy spell warbands, if it's in your gaming group, there's a lot of dice, a lot of ones in there that shut down wizards, a lot of shut down wizard cards, which are really nice. I'm looking at Amnesiac Backlash now. So it's a reaction. It's on a crit. So you cast this spell after an enemy fighter casts a spell. This spell is cast. That fighter suffers 1 damage, and they can no longer cast spells. And it persists until that fighter is out of action. I mean, that's a nice little card.
Especially against a lot of the Stormsire and his boys.
Yeah, they're throwing a lot of dice around. That's a really tasty card, and it's a universal one. What else have we got?
I think that's one thing I'll say. I think the universals in general, actually, for the Profiteers set are really good. Having had a quick look through, I mean, you've got another one here called Tireless Slayer. Okay, it's worth three glory. It's a universal, and it is score this in an end phase if a single friendly fighter took 3 or more enemy fighters out of action in the preceding action phase. You put that on Fuel, you put that on Magor, Stormsire when he's beefed up. That's 3 easy glory potentially in the third phase.
Especially if you verse goblins, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a universal ploy now called Magical Dearth. Until the end of the power step, only rolls of critical success when a fighter attempts to cast a spell. Quite like the look of that one.
So I can see these actually dealing with a lot of, because Curse Breakers have been an absolute nightmare to go up against. I can see these actually being an anti-bit of them, because Curse Breakers are good at sticking in their own half, building up the territory, but these guys can just move in at a comfortable range, force them to come at them.
I mean, another one of their standard objectives is basically being in no man's land. So that gives you, with that range, and say Stormsire, etc., being at the back, you stand a good chance of doing that.
As well as having no one in your territory at the end of your phase. I think that's it. Stake a claim.
Yeah.
No enemy at the end of your turn in your half, which would be really good.
Right.
So I've also got a dud card I thought I should roll out.
And it's my dud card as well. We discussed this before we started recording, and me and Joe both picked this 2 cards. We both picked calculated risk, and then we picked this as the dud card.
Yeah, we picked a dud card from each warband. This is one of my personal favourites. This is Patient Commander. Score this in the 3rd end phase if you took the 2nd activation in each round.
I think if you're playing that card, you're playing the game wrong. I'm sorry. If anyone's going to take that card, drop us a message on the page, because I'd like to know who you are.
The thing is, I can understand the logic behind it in some ways, but you might not have control of who goes first or second.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of this game.
And as soon as you produce that card once, if you do happen to score it in any way, shape or form, your
third end phase as well.
Your opponent's just going to turn around and go, I'll do the opposite next time, and just throw a spanner in the works.
How many glory is it?
It's worth a whopping 3.
Okay,
the
so it's
thing
very
is,
good.
I actually see it more as daft as it sounds. You do not actually just choose not to score it on that first one.
And go for it on the second one.
Yeah, go for it on the second one. But still, that's a lot of risk going with it just for 3 glory, when there could be easier things, say denial or supremacy or anything like that you could go for. Even just superior tactician.
I can't see it fitting in a deck. I can't see why you'd want it in a deck. I can't see why you'd not. I just can't see it happening.
I think we should actually make a poll, Ash, and actually say all the objectives you should take in a warband.
Well, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I've been playing Dark Oath after that, and they've been crap.
I'll do it. I'll even go out to it. I'll even raise it. I'll even go to a tournament, and I'll let people.
We take it to a Grand Clash.
I would, yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
If you pay for my ticket, I'll do it.
Oh, yeah. There's always a little bit of something else in there, isn't there?
Of course there is.
Right.
I'm not going to spend my own money and get my ass absolutely hammered to.
Do you want to move on to the Guardians?
The Guardians, yes. Go for it.
The Wildly Woodies. So, as I said early on, I struggled to pick out specific objectives which sort of spoke to me on this.
Warband specific or universal?
Warband specific, I really struggled with. I mean, some of them are pretty basic, the ones I actually picked out. So, strike swiftly, score this immediately if a friendly fighter takes an enemy fighter out of action with a charge.
It's an easy one.
You should be scoring that. It's only worth 1, but
it's pretty easy. Is that
I quite like. I think the one that stands out the most for me is reclaim the. I can't even pronounce it.
Lamentary.
Score this in the end phase. In an end phase. Yeah, score this in an end phase if you hold all the objectives in at least one player's territory. Now that's quite easy to score if you're taking Abazoth's making. If you've not won the objectives that turn and you've only got 2 anyway, you can literally pop 1 off the table, stand on 1 objective, and you're scoring 2 glory for it. I think it's a nice, easy one to push. I'm trying to think what else it looks nice for them. I'm having a quick scan through the cards now.
I mean, the only other one which is you're moving on to more the universals. I think there seem to be more in the universals that you could go with. So, for instance, I like this one: Lethal Repertoire. Score this in an end phase if a friendly fighter made an attack action in the preceding action phase, printed on an upgrade that you played in the same phase. So, for instance, I play Reavers, so I might choose good old Arnulf. You know, he's good old dangle bro, but I might give him, say, Shade Glass Daggers, and then I'll charge him in. He'll attack. I score glory for that if I get the kill. You know, even kill.
Or is it just charge?
No, it's not even a kill. It's just made an attack action. So I don't even need to even injure them.
Wait, is it a charge and an attack action you need to do, or is it just an attack action?
It says score this in an end phase if a friendly fighter made an attack action in the preceding action phase, printed on an upgrade that you played in the same phase.
That would be really good for Overlord, you know?
Yeah.
Because you think about it, you upgrade the one with the Gatling, give him that one where he shoots twice.
Well, the thing is, like, you know, we're called ready for action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That card will score you that objective.
Yeah.
Unless you're moving, obviously, but most people tend to use it for an extra attack, don't they?
I think a nice easy score one, if you can get it early enough in the game, is have what we hold. Well, sorry, hold what we have. Score this in an end phase if you have at least one fighter on the battlefield and your warband made no move actions in the preceding action phase. So if you're building your warband around pushers, the Caradons,
Yeah.
you know, it could be one to score. Yeah, they have got the range for it. It seems that this card, although you get it in the Guardians deck, is probably more geared up for the Caradon Overlords.
There's another one in there. I think it might be in the Profiteers deck as well, where you've got it's make no attack actions. So again, you could score it with that at the same time.
Yeah.
Potentially.
There is one card that I hate on this one though.
Is it a dud though?
It's a dud. Oh, if it makes it into your deck, it's called One Fate. I'm just going to read it out, and I just want to gauge your thoughts.
We were
the
talking
table,
about this
gentlemen.
earlier, weren't we? Again.
Score this immediately if you roll 3 or more dice in an attack or defense roll, and they all show the same symbol, 2 glory.
The same symbol.
The same symbol.
I always rolled triple crit, so it's fine.
Oh wow, there you go then. Yeah, you know, I expect to see it in your deck, Kev.
Is that thanks to your oven, mate? Actually, isn't there one in the Overlords, actually, I think with their objective, they get one where if you make an attack action or defense, but it's like if you get 3 different symbols.
Possibly.
So
I mean,
think
Well, that's
that
doable.
one would
That's
be-
nice.
yeah.
This one,
I was going to say, with the amount of times I've rolled 3 dice and got
Yeah.
everything, I don't actually.
we all have that lucky moment where we roll 4 crits. We've all been in a tournament or we've done something and you go, crap, I've just rolled a bucket load of crits there. But to get
Usually one, to be fair.
3 or more with the same symbol on.
And I think the thing is, I think that's it. You know, if you look across these warbands, even you've got the guy with the Gatling gun, but apart from that, there's not that many who've got 3 dice standard.
No.
So you're gonna have to buff them anyway. in
Chucking
some way.
Haymaker or you potion a rage onto it. It's very situational. Yeah, it's 2 glory.
Yeah, it's the thing is that you're relying on.
Maybe if they'd have put 6 glory on it, I'd have stuck it in there for a cheeky little laugh and seen what happens. But it's one of them cards. It's 2 glory. You're going to sit on it as well. If you draw it first round, are you going to hold on to it? Are you going to hope that it scores later in the game? Is it going to clog up one of your 3 objectives?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah, it's a waste of paper.
I think it's one of them where I think if other cards get restricted or banned, then it'll probably move up the ladder, but it won't be a first pick.
I don't know. It was definitely one of the contenders for my dud card anyway, but I think the other card I don't really like in this deck is a Bloodless Skirmish.
Yeah.
Score this in the 3rd end phase if there are no fighters out of action. You see, that I don't want to be playing them sort of games with everyone's still alive at the end.
No, I think there's another card that's very similar to that, isn't there? And they're so difficult to score.
I think a lot of warbands have something like that because I know Fire Slayers have it.
Yeah, it might be the Fire Slayer deck.
Steel Hearts. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember all now, but yeah, quite a few of them have that.
There should be dead bodies at the end.
I think it used to be quite a valid card to have, but since when Slayers actually started coming into it, people were losing a lot more.
Yeah.
And it was only more of a fire Stormcast. I'm going to play defensive.
Another great one, which I think is going to crop up a lot, is Magical Storm. If you're playing your Storm Sires, score this in an end phase if your warband successfully casts 4 or more spells in the preceding action phase.
So throw that in with Well of Power.
Yeah.
So while your fighter is inspired, you can roll an extra dice when they attempt to cast a spell.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you've got level 3 wizards. You've got Fedra. potentially could be a level 4 wizard there.
Yeah.
That's a great card. Storm Size, if you're not playing that card, I mean,
the other one which I really want to mention in there, and this is we've talked about dud cards, we've talked about how rolling random dice and things. Now, this is one I might actually take. It's called Fated Blade. It's an upgrade, universal upgrade. Standard profile is 1 hex range, 2 hammers, but it has a no damage characteristic. Because what happens is when you've actually hit, you roll 5 attack dice, and for every hammer or crit you then roll, you do that equivalent amount of damage. So it's very much based on luck. You could, in theory, roll 5 hammers and crits, 5 damage, great.
Pretty much how my Eyes of 9 deck is going. That probably anyway. All of my deck is literally, I just thought, as it's such a random one anyway, just put as much random stuff in there as possible.
Duelist Speed's quite a nice one. It's very generic, but it's a nice one. After this fighter's attack action, push them up to 1 hex. Again, we Cowden Overlords. Yeah, we're looking at this for the new warbands, obviously, but for anything. But for those Cowden Overlords, that's a nice little free. Make a shot, make a little push action with it. It's quite nice.
I'll give you another cheeky one.
Go on.
Tome of Insight. Choose an opponent. It's an action. Sorry. Choose an opponent. They must reveal the power cards in their hand to you.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one.
So obviously, if it's 1-on-1, great. And if it's sort of like first game in, you've got a fair idea of what they're going to have in the hand.
Yeah.
Especially if you were like me in the last game I played, where I was just drawing, not getting what I actually needed. I think it gives you quite a few options on that as well.
Yeah, that is a cheeky one, and that pairs with one of the cards. I'm trying to find it now, where if you upgrade if you have the Cat Thrones, does it preserve the knowledge? Yeah, preserve the knowledge. So it's 2 glory. Score this in an end phase. If all surviving friendly fighters have at least 1 Cataphrone tomb. So if you're sticking it onto various people, if you are building your deck around that, potentially, it's a nice little card to have in there.
Especially low numbered warbands as well.
Yeah.
So
and low damage output. You're not going to score your Tomb of Offerings with these sort of warbands because they're just not doing enough damage really. But, one of you, if you are into that nice mind games with people, you like to know what's happening. If you play it a little bit more card based tactically, trying to remember what your opponent's got, I think they could work quite well together.
So I suppose if anyone's got anything else they want to say on these guys?
Not the cards, no. I think we've done on that.
So I think let's say, so if you had to pick one of these 2 warbands to play, I think we probably already know the answer to this, but which one would you pick? Kev?
Well, just because I prefer the models, dwarfs, I'm more about the quality of the model really. So yeah, let's go with the dwarves.
It was going to be the Guardians right up until we've sitting down today and going through them in depth before we started going. It's going to be the dwarfs. It's the Cowden Overlords. They just seem to edge it for me.
So you're going elves, yeah? Yeah, Josh?
Josh is going to go
I was
elves.
going to say that you really need to ask. Elf. Yeah, you honestly, anyone who's ever if you ever expect to see me play as them, you'll be waiting a very.
I expect to see Josh at the Grand Clash with these dwarfs because.
Oh, I will be. Yeah, I'll be
there you
taking
go.
them, mate.
So that's 3 for dwarves. What about you, Joe?
I'm going to have to go dwarves as well. I think, we've talked about the fact the models are incredible, they are. And I like the mechanic idea of them. I like the fact that they're a warband that can actually sit back and keep blasting people away. I really quite like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Very different to my other warbands I've played as well. So
You played a lot with Reavers, haven't you? A good 10 months.
it's all about the beard, mate. That's why you
It's
see.
the beard, yeah.
Has to be.
So yeah, I think the Overlord, it's a thumbs up for us. The Sylvaner, maybe not so much. It will tell in tournaments, see how well they do. The Grand Clash is always a great place to see how well some of these warbands do.
Yeah.
So see where they place.
That's it, you see, because if you play elves, you just basically, I think you just wanted to give you, you're challenged in life.
So yeah, the next bit we're just going to have a quick round up on is tournaments, upcoming tournaments. We've got the Warhammer Fest Grand Clash, which is coming up in May, I believe. Mid-May. I know I'm going to that myself. I think everybody around it.
I think the entirety of Ready for Action, all 6 of us are actually going to this.
Yeah.
So look out for us. You can't miss us. We'll be the exceptionally attractive
bearded one
team that's there.
Yeah.
You just look out for the muscles and the tans, definitely.
We are usually the loudest. We are quite a loud group of gamers. Come and speak to us. Come and say hello, chat. We are a really friendly bunch of guys. We usually have a pint in the bar. Obviously, we won't
Or
have
two.
it. So that, where's it at? It's at the Rioch, isn't it? So it's not at Warhammer Worlds.
Rico,
Is it
Rico,
Coventry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coventry.
Yeah. Kev has offered to drive us all there, so we
Oh,
can
you
all
can.
drink.
Oh, nice one, mate. Nice. Cheers, mate. So,
Or is he paying for our taxi? There and back.
Yeah.
yeah, we're going to be at that one, and then we've got the UK Game Expo coming up for Grand Clash, and I know I'm going to that one as well. That's on a Friday, so I don't think there's many of us going from Ready Fresh. I think there's
I will be going to that
Josh
one.
coming with me, so me and Josh. I think the two Dans.
The
are
two Dans, I
coming.
think Big Dan and Little Dan are going.
Dan 1 and Dan 2, as my daughter likes to call them.
So not the best of company for us, you know.
No.
But unfortunately, myself and Kev are working, I think, those days. So
Don't go on about working out. I've missed the last few tournaments.
So yeah, again, if you see us at that one, I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to the Game Expo. Never been to the.
I've heard good things.
No,
Yeah, I've heard good things too. There's some other bits I want to look at while I'm there, but yeah, really looking forward to the stuff that I think they're going to be well attended.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then obviously there's small tournaments that are up and coming. Obviously, you've got one next week up in Sheffield at the Outpost.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to that. I don't know
Alright,
you are, Josh.
no, I'm working.
Oh, Josh is
Are
not
you working as well?
Yeah.
Oh, what a shame, mate.
Someone,
Yeah,
But no, it was a great venue though. Outpost. That was the first place I did an event. So yeah, we're definitely worth going.
Yeah, I just think it's fallen on a weekend when most of us are probably busy and can't make it, unfortunately. And then you've got Wayland's Forge, obviously we went to their tournament last month. They've got something coming up, I think it's after one of the Grand Clashes, so I probably won't be going to that one. I think it's the 12th, I want to say.
I think we've also got our local one as well at Boards and Swords Hobbies.
They're not
There's one of those coming up soon as well.
So,
Yeah, if any of you guys have just thought, I fancy doing an event, definitely get involved. These events are great. It's just a good community of people getting together to play these games. Definitely worth a Saturday going to one of these in a way. So,
yeah.
and if you do it right, you might bring some shake glass home,
Or at least the tokens. I mean, I've done a lot of tournaments. I've hosted and been to a lot. Only been to one where there's been some solely players there, and that was a recent one. And I'm not going to say where it was at, but
I wasn't even there either.
no, generally the players, it's such a good group of players. You got the guys from Steel City. That's Tom and Mike. You got John Reese as well. Jay Clares, some great guys that go to these tournaments that sort of sit and chat, and it's well worth going to, especially if you're a new person to the tournament scene.
Is it worth us mentioning our Eyes of the Nine potentially? We might be able to go on.
Yeah, I think we should give it a little shout out. It's a little project that we're all working on between three sort of gaming groups and podcasts and bloggers, which I'm going to let you go through, Joe.
So we had a bit of an idea that we're going to have a bit of an eye. We've called it the Eyes of the Nine off, for want of a better expression, where each of us is going to bring an Eyes of the Nine deck.
Yep, there will be
and
9 of us.
warband.
9 of us doing it.
To a tournament potentially somewhere.
Yeah.
It might even be a tournament we just host ourselves. We might turn up at your tournament. You never know.
You never know.
so if you turn up with something better
If you
than
see,
that, you're
if you
luck.
see 9 full-grown men sat giggling in a corner, we've probably come to, for want of a better word, fuck about with statistics and bump the Eyes of the 9 up.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I think we should put a bet on it ourselves. Whoever comes top out of our 9,
one of the
we
suggestions
should get
that
our own little trophy.
One of the suggestions that we've come up with, which I think we should open up to a poll, because some people want to do it, some people don't. We're all going to make our own deck for the 9,
As we would normally.
as we would normally, obviously. But we're then going to label it up, put it in an envelope, and when we get to the tournament, draw them at random. So we play with somebody else's deck with our Eyes of the 9. It's just it just fits. You mentioned it gaming last week, Joe. It just
I was
think about it
crying.
all week. It just sounds so funny.
I was crying with laughter.
Yeah.
A few people weren't as keen,
No.
but I was like, you know
think it's
what?
awesome. Let's just go. I just thought, let's go all in. We're taking 9. Like I said, let's face it, we're not going to
There's going to
win.
be 2 or 3 players out there in the community that go, they're a great warband. I think in general consensus is they're the worst warband. They're so difficult, so technical,
They're low wounds.
not great attacks, not damage
They're
output.
supposed to be a magic. I imagine they're supposed to be magic based,
Yeah.
But they're not.
but they're not magic based.
No, they've got really weird inspire mechanics as well.
Yeah.
They're just not.
I think
Not
actually, I think they should have had something like, that card where you say you can look at your person's.
Yeah,
There may be something they should have had something like that in, or maybe I don't know. You could maybe change a dice roll. Or something. I don't know, something daft like. But
That's a nice one, changing the dice roll.
Yeah.
That does fit.
but it's no.
So you're going to go with that then, Kev? You
like
liking
it?
the randomness?
You've said it now. It's official. We
Yeah.
have to do it.
You don't have to do it.
It was going to happen anyway.
I
We,
would- yeah, we
join
don't-
the 9.
We don't turn to bullying here, but Kev does as he tells.
I mean, to be fair, if out of the 9 of us, only 5 of us want to do it, the 5 of us will do it. You
Yeah.
know, it'll be a laugh, and that's why we're
Yeah.
doing it. And if we win, can you imagine if we win?
Yeah, I know the 2 guys from Steel City, Tom and Mike. They're up for doing it. I think
Excellent.
Mike's not too keen on the envelope idea.
The
I think
randomiser.
he's actually come up with quite a good deck, so I don't think he wants to give that to somebody else to
I
play.
can do that,
but-
yeah. Sounds good.
He's got a 1 in 9 chance again.
You got one night, you could pull your own deck, yeah. So it could be completely fun. We are going to do. I think we're looking at the summer for it because I think we're a group of players, especially as guys here at Ready for Action. We like to play with painted models.
We do.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us play with unpainted. We don't take into tournaments. We at least do the 3 colour minimum as a bare minimum. I mean, Dan Jones, if you've seen his models for the 9 that he's put up
really
on the Facebook page, he's pushed it to another limit. If he's not getting nominated at local tournaments for best painted, he should be winning. He should be smashing it. They're absolutely out of this world.
You know what? That's one thing I'm really looking forward to doing is actually sharing my painting efforts now.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've kind of held back from doing it until I've actually been on a podcast, but I'm really keen to sort of get my models out there and get them shared now.
I think we should get some pictures up of everybody's warbands.
I think I think everyone put up their favourite one or something, what they think is the best work, which I haven't really got anything.
Mate, some of your stuff's been great.
Yeah, but we want to see yours as well. When we upload our...
Shows you like
The only way you win through is the people around you. When you see Dan's, I mean, my darker they look great. I got best painted warband, got the limited golden demon card. I'm
just draw that in there again.
But then Dan's come out and his fast riders were phenomenal. Dan's all about his bases. Bases just look out of this world. But his eyes of the 9 are just. I think they're the best thing he's painted for me.
I would agree.
He took his painting to a whole different level. But it raises our game. It raises your game, Josh. It raises everybody's game around the table. And I like it when we're at tournaments and people come over to us and they do go, you've got some of the best painted warbands at the tournaments, and that's what it's all about. I mean, we went to Boards and Swords and it was a nice tournament, but they didn't do a best painted, and there was a lot of unpainted there, and we put a lot of effort into these, probably more effort into painting sometimes than we do to play testing.
A competition like that as well, that actually drives for people to paint the models too.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, don't get me wrong, some people don't enjoy it, and
I think that's a whole other podcast though, isn't it, about where this game goes with painted and unpainted models. For a Grand Clash for me, it should be painted. I know the game says you can play unpainted, and this game's attracted a lot of card players, so they're just playing pieces, the models. Yeah. But for me, as Kev said earlier, they're the best. They're some of the best models that the game's got. They're dynamic. They look attractive. Why should I paint them?
I know.
I don't know.
My only challenges now is actually getting these painted before the clash.
So is that the next warband you're going to paint then? These new dwarfs?
I don't like turning up to tournaments.
No.
I don't mind turning up with something semi-finished, like, you know what I mean, where it's like I'm still building up on something.
It needs a wash or it needs to be
that's it. But I just don't like turning up. I know with my first ever time I actually ever played the game was in a tournament, your tournament, Ash, when you convinced me to play. Yeah,
I think start on the slippery slope with you.
Yeah. But that was ever since then I've always taken
painted. Yeah.
So obviously you're taking the dwarfs then, Josh. So are you going to take one of the new warbands to the Grand Clash?
No, I'm going to be really. I normally take, as everybody knows, a weaker warband. I like to see what it can do. I mean, I've been to a Grand Clash with the Sepulchral Guard.
Nailed it.
They were great looking. I painted them well. They were nice to paint. We'll leave it there. The last one I went to was with the Goblins, and again, the Goblins in the right hands, they can be amazing. But I just got outplayed at the Grand Clash. I'm going to be a really anal player at this one, and I'm going to go with Curse Breakers.
I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed.
And you know what's going to disappoint everybody even more? They're not even painted and glued to the bases. I may be that player.
Mate, you've got a number of weeks, let's say, to get them done. I believe in you. I know you can do it.
No, they won't be unpainted. They'll be painted. I would not dare show up to a Grand Clash with unpainted. I just couldn't do it. I won't feel.
The thing is, you have a Stormcast army.
Yes.
So even if you were to proxy models in, I mean, Somebody might raise a few eyebrows, but I wouldn't
Again,
mind
that's a
playing.
different podcast about proxy.
It
which
is,
I am
yeah.
really, really against
You're right.
proxying as well.
You
But
could borrow some off my Stormcast.
it's I will go with Curse Breakers. I think my ambition for the next Grand Clash is to get a 2 for 2 wins, 2 losses. No, sorry, not 2 wins, 2 losses. That's what I'm averaging normally at Grand Clashes. I want 3 and 1.
Okay.
That's what I'm going for. I think the Storm Messiahs are the most reliable to get me to where I want to be. I'm playing tactically
The
now.
Curse Brokens, as I like to call
Yeah,
them.
I'm playing tactically rather than going with what I think is fun. They're not the fun way to play for me. I like to play with something that's a little bit daft sometimes, a little bit more involving. But I think they are good.
Well, you want to perform in these events as well.
I do. That's, you know what, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I want some plastic. I want some free beers or whatever it's going to be.
You want that piece of glass, mate?
I want that pice of glass.
You've always outdone Kev, though, mate.
I've done it with the dwarves, and the dwarves, I had a great time with the dwarves. I just wanted something.
A great time with the dwarves. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
There's
for
one
another
time.
conversation.
There's one time in Amsterdam. So yeah, I'm going to go with Curse Breakers. What about yourself, Kev?
Well, I've been playing Orcs recently, and I'm all about aggro decks, so I might take the Orcs because I don't think many people are going to take them. But with some of these new cards, I think I could beef up my deck a little bit. So, yeah.
What did you get at the last Grand Clash? What were you scoring? What was
Well,
your win ratio?
There was the first major event I've been to, so I'm not a competitive player like some of the boys in this group. So I didn't really mind, but I went out there, I brought the Bride Queen, I won the first game, I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to do it right here. Oh, bloody hell, it's going to go all right. Obviously, I lost the next 3 games.
So for you, stepping up to a 2 and 2
2 and
would be
2, I guess
would be
so, yeah.
it's an improvement. It'd be your second big tournament, and that's a bit of an improvement. What about McGaw's for you? Because I know the Orcs they are tricky.
That's what I was
And
thinking,
General
yeah.
consensus in the community is that McGaw's are the Orcs,
But better.
Yeah.
They do more. You know, your
Because
opponent misses an attack against you. You've got 2 guys that can punch him back. You've got a really fast moving dog. So what's your thoughts on
It's
that?
funny you should say that because I actually glued and based them last night.
Well,
Maybe
It's a
I-
sign, you see.
Kev's just mad. We were all expecting to turn up with Orcs, but he's like, oh no, McGaw.
McGaw,
I've got some green macaws.
Yeah. I'll have to have a think about that. What about you, mate?
Go on, Josh, you first, mate.
No, ladies first.
Ladies, he says to the guy with the biggest beard in the room.
You're from Amsterdam. So.
Yeah, Amsterdam. So I've never actually been to a Grand Clash. This will be my Grand Clash virginity that I haven't
we'll
broken.
take it with you.
Curse broken.
We'll be gentle.
I'm going to be running Reavers, which is my current crew that I'm running. I'm liking the fact that people aren't expecting them, I don't think. I think now that you've got Nightvolt out, a lot of people are running
Newer warbands.
Newer warbands, exactly. And I think unless, with the Reavers being quite a glass cannon approach, I don't think people are going to be expecting them. So what I've tried to do is I've built a deck, and I've been using it for about 2 or 3 months now. Now, unfortunately, I've mainly played Big Dan, and he tends to just wipe the floor with me. But I've had a couple of good games recently. I feel like it's coming into its own a little
I
bit.
mean, we played it before we did the podcast today, and before we started recording, we played my Dark Oak because I'd got the deck made up, and you played your Reavers. And it wasn't until literally the last objective that I put down that got me a 12-10 victory. And I got one guy, I'd got Sean left on the table.
Yeah.
And it was that. You got your whole warband? No, you got.
I'd
killed
lost
1 or 2.
Yeah, I think you can kill 2 eventually, but I think the thing was I managed to bin off a couple of objectives which I should have held on to, which would have pushed me up.
It was so close, and I know at the local tournaments that I've been to recently, there's been a lot of Reavers players. They seem to have found a bit of a new lease of life.
okay.
They're quick, they hit relatively hard, but you say they are the glass cannon, but they do everything the Dark Oath do, but better. They're the McGaws to the Orcs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, I just want to try and the classics almost like when I go to Blood Bowl tournaments. I want to at least win a game.
Yeah.
A round, sorry, in this case. But I think I can do. I've played in a few tournaments and I've done relatively well. So I'm going to try and go for 2 and 2. I think.
Same as me too.
Yeah, I reckon I can do
That's
2
like
and
done
2.
3 and 1 on it.
Yeah, I reckon I can do 2 and 2.
Yeah.
If I get any more than that, fantastic.
Cool.
Well, I'll go with dwarfs again.
Yes.
Well, no, first 2 I went as Fire Slayers, so it'll be Overlords this time. I think, what was it, my first tournament? I think I came 14th out of 84, which showed me my map.
That was the first Grand Clash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
really
was.
good.
Yeah, that was when everyone was saying that Fire Slayers were rubbish and all
Yeah, you
that
did
sort
well
of thing,
then. Yeah.
and then came out.
We'll give you that one, Josh.
Them loaded dice are fantastic,
I
aren't
know,
they?
Yeah, my
brilliant. Then I think the second one, I came out after Smed's absolutely pounding off me. That dropped me right down. Thanks, Smed. But no, I think I don't know. I'll try and aim. I guess I'll try and aim for top again. I seem to be landing around there, so I'll try and aim for 4 out of 5 games, sort of thing.
But were they untrialed?
Yeah, that's it,
Or
mate.
big?
Go big or go home.
Yeah.
Well, not in dwarf
I was
scale.
going to say, wait to get dwarves then.
Go big ass ship or go home.
I think my expectations for especially the Warhammer Fest one, I think that there's going to be a massive wide variety of warbands played. I think it's going to be. I know we're getting 2 new warbands, and it's easy to say that, but I think it's so open at the minute. There was the whole Mollog hype.
Yeah.
But having played against Mollogs, I've been beaten a couple of times by him, but he's not all that great. He's
The thing is, he's always a 2 dice sort of thing, and you always
you
get
can
that
chip
risk.
away at him. He's not that great when.
Well, I think these guys are going to be really good because they outrange Malog, and that's one of his.
Yeah,
Yeah, and especially with the knockback capability as well, you can keep pushing him back.
Yeah.
into hexes and all
Then
that
you got your
jazz.
ploys like poison gas and everything else, which is.
I expect to see quite a lot of these 2 new warbands.
I
And Curse Breakers for me. I think Curse Breakers will be big.
Yeah, curse breaks just for their easy objective scoring base.
Yeah.
But I think we'll even still see a few Magors. I reckon they're just the standard go-to.
But Magors. Yeah, Magors won the last tournament we went to at Boards and Swords. I think it was Brian Bakewell, who we know from Blood Bowl.
Yep.
He won there.
I beat him 2-0 in the last game, actually. Just drop that in there,
Yeah,
Brian.
just drop that in. And I think it was completely unexpected for Brian because he'd not picked up since Nightvolt dropped. So
Really?
He literally turned up on the day to a tournament, cracked open his old deck, stuck some new cards in it, and proceeded to win the tournament. There you go, with Magors. Nice. So the old warbands, when people go, do they compare? Do they stand up? Yeah, they do. I think the game is so open. It'd be nice to see more Skaven back in there. You know, I like seeing Scritch and his gang. It'd be nice to see some of the old warbands pulled back through.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's it for me. I think. Anybody else got anything else they wanted to talk about?
So I suppose a couple of things just to sort of wrap up then, unless anyone's got anything else. So we've got something exciting coming up on which we're working on at the moment. We'll keep it pretty hush hush apart from that. The other thing to bear in mind is just to keep an eye out on our Facebook page, as we've actually got a Nightvolt box set giveaway, which we've got courtesy of Wayland's Forge. A few of the guys went down there, so please make sure you're a fan of us on Facebook, follow the page. Please share a bit of information about this podcast and the community we're building here. We'd love to hear any recommendations for list building, deck building, or I'd love to hear your dud cards.
Dud cards, yeah. I'm happy for people to chuck cards up for Josh to build a deck with, to take to a tournament. Like
Eyes of the Nine,
I will do that.
Yeah.
We'll set a date after the Eyes of the Nine one. Next tournament after that, I will do it, and I'll put it up on. We'll put it up. We'll tell you what. I'll let everyone else decide whatever deck and whatever warband, except elves.
Except the elves, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. No. So yeah, I think we're all done, aren't we, guys?
I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for listening, everyone, and say like us on Facebook, give us a share, and get your friends involved. So you've been listening to Ready for Action, and that's bye from me.
See you later, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.